Hey everyone, today we're having a look at a B3 cricket bat. This one is the Jonathan Trott profile. It's come in from Elliot from Victoria, and he's ordered it with a special feature, and that will be revealed during the review. Remember to like or dislike the video, put comments in YouTube and I'll respond to them. Also you can follow me on the Facebook page. All the links are in the description, including links to this particular bat on B3 or how to get in contact with them. So without any further delay, let's get on with the review. So this bat has come in from Elliot in Victoria, and he's ordered it with the customary B3 cover. This is a good quality cover. In fact, I actually have 3 of these that I got monogrammed as my personal ones, and they really look after the bat really well. Let's talk about the bat. So the interesting feature about the Trott profile is just that huge expanse of timber. Straight away you can see that it's a full player profile. But have a look just how thick those edges are. They are massive, and basically they extend to a, well, generous edge. I think anything around 35 to 36 like this is a generous edge, and down to a fairly thick toe. So you've got 23.5 at the top of the shoulders, which is very impressive for a standard length blade. This is not a short blade or anything like that. Raising to 35.6. down to I think it's 23, but check the measurements on the photos that I'll be putting up. It's over 31 in the center, and the spine peaks around 64 millimeters. So it does go through the gauge, as you can see here. There is a little bit of room there. But there's so much wood in it, it's not a bat that's just been sort of carved out here to make all the wood here or reduced here. It's basically one massive plank of timber, and it reminds me a little bit of the classic South Australian filky type shape. But there are some interesting features about B3 bats which I will go into. So if you don't know, B3 bats are cut via CNC. You can pick a profile via their website or contact them directly and get a custom one made or a bespoke. So this profile is impressive because you've basically got over 30 millimeters of edge all the way from here to here, and over 60 millimeters of spine from the splice to the mid-low position. It's just all hitting area, and because it's full, you've got a really wide middle as well. And to make up for the fact that there's no concaving to balance it out, they've actually drawn all that wood up to the top of the blade, creating the balance that you would normally get, and it's just got so much wood in it. And in fact, its native weight at the standard B3 400 density. So 400 density basically means for the standard cleft that they cut to a certain profile, and every cleft is the same. They weigh them all, and they give it a approximate numerical value which represents its density. So a standard cleft would be 400 density, and at 400 density this is a 2 pound 15 bat. So that's a fairly heavy bat, but because all that weight draws up towards the shoulders and you've got a nice thick handle, which you can see there, this handle is really oval, proper oval. It reminds me a lot of a Screaming Cat or an Aldred style handle. It's slightly semi-oval at the top. Because you've got all that weight drawing up above the center point, you've got really lovely balance on it. And that's just with a standard grip. There's no adding grips or anything like that. I noticed that it had 3 rubber inserts. So I contacted B3 just before. They had 2 cork and 1 rubber. They said that they'd sent a Trott profile to Australia, and the owner was concerned that there was just too much gap here because the standard handles they were using were not big enough to fill just that amount of volume there, and it's quite substantial. It's 46 millimeters just there at the top of the splice. So there's maximum amount of area there for the glue to adhere to, even if you were a couple of millimeters under. It's much more than a standard sort of bat, and therefore less prone to twist and probably failure through the top of the handle. Anyway, they took the owner's feedback into account, and they changed the handles to one with a slightly thicker area down here, but it still seems to be not enough because you can still see a slight bit of area there where they've just left the cane, because it's still so massive that you can still see the raw cane. It's not a big deal, you know, it really isn't. B3 were actually kind enough to send me photos of how the other one looked, so I'll put photos up of those so you can compare, but there's nothing really, that's just the appearance of the raw cane. But it's all nicely glued in. This is like a standard blade mongoose, because it's just got so much wood right throughout the hitting area. That David Bacon, aka Streaky, who was previously with B3, he's left now, he would have designed this bat when he was at Gunnermore, and Trott would have followed him to B3. So there's photos of Trott actually using the New Balance bats, which B3 were making at the time, and I have no doubt that the photos represent this profile. So B3 classify this bat's middle position as low, mid, high. So what's so special? Still, let's have a look. In my hands, the standard bat 215, this bat, honestly, it feels like 2.8. And I'm not kidding there, it's just got standard chevron grip on it, there's nothing special. But it just feels like a 2.8 in my hands. Yes, it does feel like a heavy bat, but it feels just light and balanced. It's got that perfect balance point, so you've got a really lovely light pickup. And the reason is that this bat has been supplied with low density willow. So if I move that around, it actually was a little bit lighter the other day, but it's 210. I got it at 29.9 in the photos. Maybe it just makes a difference which side I put it on, I don't know. But how light is that? It's 5 ounces less than its normal weight of 215, and that's basically because they've picked out one of their lower density clefts, and that makes sense since this is a 3-stripe with 7 even grains, tiny little blemish, but the low density timber upgrades this to a higher level. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 grains, no real major blemishes on it, tiny little pin knot there, but this is for all intentional purposes a 3-stripe bat, which is a grade 1. They have an LE and they have a crown sometimes if those clefts actually appear, but this is what you would call equivalent of a player's style bat. Remembering that this bat has been knocked. That's really amazing just there. It's still going there in the mid. A little bit harder up here, but right there in the mid to low, even down here. Listen how deep that sounds. That's that low density timber. It gives you a much deeper tone. So from here all the way up to there, it's just going to ping all the way through that area. Amazing. Well, it's very similar to the Beluga that I reviewed in the past, but with much thicker shoulders. I really like it. In fact, I don't think he's getting it back. I think I'm just going to keep it. No, I'm kidding. I'll have to give it back to him, but I might consider contacting them myself one day and getting one. Alright, this is the single most frustrating part of doing these reviews, is when I get to the cutting room and I've actually lost video footage, which is what happened this time. The last part of this bounce wasn't even in the catalogue. Anyway, let's move something. The last part of the ball bounce wasn't even in there, so I've had to repeat this. So I know exactly what I'm going to say because I've already done this. Alright, we're going to do the old 4-piece. Okay, it doesn't sound great. There is a little bit of hardness initially. This bat has just been knocked in, obviously. And as the player uses it, that's going to disappear. But it's pretty much going all over the bat. Even up high, you've got a little bit to work with. In that middle, nice and low. I'm not going to discover a lot with an old ball, but there's definitely no seam marks. Move to the Dukes, and So even down low, it's lovely. It does have a crispness to the sound at the moment, but let's give it time and that's going to come good. And it's just going everywhere. Definitely sounds a lot deeper, and in the game it's just going to sound superb when you actually crack a shot. So I did have a few words to say about density. So 5 ounces is basically how much less than the standard shape this particular cleft weighs. And there's obviously no difference to the handle they use. So obviously that affords it with a much better balance, but that's not the only thing that happens with a low density cleft. Low density cleft just basically means obviously it weighs less, and it's weight that determines the power in the shot, not necessarily the ping of the willow. So this is never going to ping as well as a 215 bat, but it's going to be a great performer as a 210, and that's 210 scuffed. It's a really, really nice bat. I love the profile. Somebody mentioned today, I was reading, said screaming cat. I'm not sure if you'd call that screaming cat. I think the shoulders are too thick, but definitely the handle shape reminds me of a screaming cat, a Julian Billy shaped handle, or an Aldred. So really lovely bat. Personally for me, I'd probably have a slightly thinner, even more oval shape, but it's just nice. I really like it. So that is the B3 Trott, and I'm even considering whether I'll purchase one myself, depending on how funds go. But really lovely bat. That is the Trott profile, the 1271 or 21.1 on the new system. If you look under custom bats, look up 215 traditional toe, and any middle position, and it should come up 21.1. There you go. Thank you very much to Elliot from Victoria for supplying that for review, and that's going back to him shortly, and I think he's got another bat coming in which will be just as special. So excellent. Once again, an immense B3.